Hi, welcome to TorontoTv. I'm the host of the today's show, Career Counseling. My name is Eric Lau. I'm a managing director with IFG Project Resourcing. We specialize in the senior level finance and accounting search and recruitment area. And this is our first show, and really appreciate our guest today, Emma. Maybe you can share with everyone a little bit about your background as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Huang. I'm a new immigrant in Canada. Before I came to Canada, I was a journalist in China. And 3 years ago, I moved to Canada. And I did my public relations certificate at Ryerson University. Now I am looking for a job.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on board on today's show. So it's today's show. It's just relaxed. I guess it's more of a kind of like a direct interaction. What I do on a daily basis as well is to try to help people help to optimize the best, I guess, profile to find a job in the marketplace. So I guess any questions that you have, maybe you can just I guess go from there. Maybe talk about what are the challenges that you're seeing today in the job market that's specifically that you have been facing, maybe.
Okay, I think the first thing, because of the doomy, gloomy economy, every company is talking about downsizing. So for new immigrants, I don't think there's a hope for us to have a job, because even those senior people get laid off. So how come a new person to find a job? So what's your opinion for us to break the ice?
I would say there's a couple of factors, but I mean, as a starting point, like this is the first time I'm meeting, but I understand a little bit of your background. You came here a couple of years ago, have a very excellent career in journalism, and your communication skill in English is actually very good, like I guess relative to maybe some other immigrants. So one thing I'll start off with is communication is very key for any type of fields and job, whether it's finance, accounting, marketing, some fields in engineering or pharmaceutical, whatnot. So one thing to be really kind of emphasized is to be able to really try to improve the communication skill. And not to say that communication, you have to speak like perfect English and have no accent. A lot of very senior people from overseas that I've dealt with on a regular basis, a lot of VPs and senior VPs in the banks, they came to Canada maybe about 10-12 years ago, but they still speak with an accent. But and there's challenges for everyone, but they are still able to obtain this level of achievement in the corporate world. So I would say communication is key, about clear communication. That's one area. And also try to be positive and be confident about your ability, because and I don't want to pass on any assumption, but when you tell me that, okay, when senior people or local people can't even find a job, how could immigrant find a job? So automatically you're already putting yourself inferior to the local individual, which you shouldn't be, because you have a lot of good experience from overseas, and you should really have the confidence that you are just as good, if not better, than a lot of people that are maybe in a very similar field as yourself. So the first thing you have to really believe in is to believe in yourself and say that I can do it. I have the ability, I have the experience, and I can compete just as well as anyone. So I think that's something that you really need to, as a first step, that you need to believe that you can do it. And I have confidence that you do have the ability to find a good position. And to answer the question about the senior level individual, in a sense, people that are more in the entry level are actually at a little bit of a better advantage than people that were senior and getting restructured. Because the way how in any type of work environment, whether again like in the corporate environment, it's kind of like a pyramid structure. There is a lot fewer positions in the senior role. So when there's the senior people that get let go, the chances for them to find a job would be lower, even during a normal job market. Now the job market, given what is at currently, it's obviously a lot more difficult for these individuals to find a job. So you shouldn't really kind of like compare saying, okay, a senior person should be able to find a job easier than an entry level or mid manager level, because it's the reverse. Senior people, when they get restructured, usually it's very difficult for them to find a job. So that hopefully kind of clarifies a little bit of your maybe of your questions. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now you see resume. Everybody is talking about resume, and all my job counselors said you should write a good resume. So I know you deal with lots of senior people's resumes, so I think you may know more about resume. So what do you think it is a good resume? What do you consider?
I would say a resume has to really map into the role that you're applying for. I would say that's the starting point. There is no such thing as the perfect resume. The resume should highlight the specific skills and requirement that is noted on the specific job. So if you go through the job description from the posting that you see, you should always customize and tailor a little bit of your resume to that specific job if you want to really enhance your chance of getting that position. And usually it's the first 2 or 3 bullet points within the job description are the key. There's obviously any employer would probably want the perfect employee. It's impossible. Nobody will map in exactly.
Do you think I should put a soft skill in the highlights?
Depending on the role and again back to the job description, because each job is different. Even within the field of finance and accounting, there's specific positions where they are actually looking for someone with very open, great interpersonal skills. Highlight that. Make sure that you mention that in the job description. There are roles that are more technical in nature. It's more specific on this, let's say, a certain system knowledge or accounting regulatory type of exposure. Then maybe to reduce that, because you don't want to waste too much space of your resume on things that the employer or the decision maker do not really care for. So you can get a pretty good sense of what they are looking for from the job description. Because if the job description doesn't say too much about the soft skill, then maybe to tone it down a bit. But if they emphasize more, then include it back. So you should always have at least 2 or 3 different versions of your resume, and don't just rely on one. Especially if you want to enhance your chance of getting an interview in front of the hiring manager. So I think it's a little bit of a hard work. It's more work, obviously. Like everyone's kind of want to cut corners and just have one and just hopefully it works for everything. But the reality is, even from what we do, we always ask our candidates, and sometimes ourselves, we work with them to customize the resume so that it maps in well to the job. So it's not a lot of people is doing it, but that's been a very successful tactics that we've been employing and helping people to help them get it in front of the client.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in terms of cold calling, because some people will suggest me or my friends said you should do cold calling, no, I didn't know anybody in those companies, in some companies. Should I do cold calling or send out mails? Which one do you think is better?
I would say you can't go wrong with being persistent. Try and try and try and try again. I would say you should do both if you have the time. But if you have to pick between the two, it's always better to have a chance to get in front of the hiring manager. So cold calling, at least it'll connect you with the individual. If you are emailing, you don't know whether it's actually been received. And you could be emailing and not getting any response and thinking that they saw your resume, didn't like it, but perhaps it was just lost in the pile. So it's always good to go with the opportunities to really meet and connect with the hiring manager. And just to give you actually a real situation, it's actually a friend of mine, not in the finance and accounting space. He's actually a designer. So he came from Hong Kong. That was over, I think, 12 or 13 years ago. So this is how he found his job. Sort of a cold calling, but in a sense what he did, because he's a designer, he pretended that he was sourcing a company for designs.
Oh.
So he actually got a meeting with a very senior person because thinking that he's going to be the buyer. So the company was the customers. So obviously he treated him well and whatnot. He reviewed what type of product the company does and really asked a lot of intelligent questions and really show that obviously because he has that experience and background. And the conversation, actually, the meeting went for so long. I think he mentioned like 2 or 3 hours. In fact, he actually brought his own portfolio and actually showed them, say, oh, this is what we have been doing in Hong Kong, and this is actually my design. So the person was actually very impressed and actually asked them whether he would consider maybe working in Canada. And in fact, he actually was already planning to immigrate. He said, yeah, well, I might consider working in Canada, and that's how he found his first job. And that's a real, like, basically is a personal friend of mine. That's what happened. And it's a really smart tactic. Like I'm not sure if it was going to work in every single situation, but that's something that may be something to like explore. But personally, other than this individual, I don't know of anyone that actually tried that, because it is a very, very gutsy and very, very like a wild type of idea to really try, because it could backfire. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Can you list 3 top skills we should have to look for a job?
I would say communication is always number one. Communication.
But you know, like communication is the number one. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But some people I know, so far as I know,
Yeah.
they couldn't speak English very well. So,
Yeah.
what's your suggestion?
I would say to do the best to really practice more, either by going to any kind of courses that's held, like I know it's CICS, like a lot of English courses that help immigrants, and maybe some training institutes to improve your English. And I think the key thing is just practice. Try to speak to more English-speaking people. Trying to watch the news, the English news. That's a way to really improve. Because like I know it's not going to be like some people, it's very difficult for them, but the reality is communication. Because I have a lot of jobs that the candidate didn't get is because the communication skill. They have all the technical, but because of just the communication, that created like resulted in not getting that job. So that I would say is definitely one. Skill set, the second one, I mean, it depends on I guess the type of job and the requirement. I would say the ability to have I guess very close attention to details, and just like, I wouldn't say, because a lot of people say management skill, leadership skills. At these times, a lot of jobs, they don't really hire managers. They hire execution people. Even if you have been a very senior people, the jobs available these days, even if they are a director position, chances are they want that director to be very hands-on, very, very technical and detailed, to the point where they can basically do the job on their own. So I would say someone who's not afraid to roll up the sleeves and just do the work itself and can do it well. That's a skill, because some people, they might have a great personality and then can lead a good team. Everyone loves them and has that management ability. But in this market right now, management skills, is very limited. Like, I wouldn't say it's not a good skill, but at these time, it's more about people that can actually do the work than just manage a group of people to do it. So that would be number 2. And the 3, it is I would say, I guess having that positive attitude and not crack under pressure, and be able to handle a stressful situation, and it kind of comes with the territory of having that positive attitude, because and this is probably because I try to look at it as from the interview perspective. Sometimes an individual has excellent resume, presents well, speaks good, but didn't get the job, and the reason is that the attitude or they don't come across as someone that the hiring manager would be open to working with, like day in and day out. Because think about it this way, you are working with that person like at least like 7.5, 8 hours a day, sometimes longer, and you spend more time with that individual than your family member. So it's the personality has to click, it has to really kind of fit in to the culture. So it's and always a positive attitude would always help. So I would say that's really I guess it's a key things to maybe to look out for. Yeah.
So in terms of those technical things, do you think like new immigrants or whatever, like people, job hunters, do you think they should use a job counselor? Or
Like you mean like a
job counselor, or, or use recruitment services?
Excuse me.
Like you.
I would say like and this is something, and as part of I guess our ongoing show, I'll be explaining the role of, like, let's say the corporate recruiters and the differences between the recruiter and also like a career coach. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. So I have actually a dual role. I'm a managing director of IFG. So what we do is basically recruiting. And in terms of corporate recruiter, some of the expectation from the job applicant is that a recruiter works for them. They help them find a job. In a very strong job market, that might be the case because there's so much job out there and not enough people to fill those jobs. So they are basically, it's very easy for a recruiter to help that applicant to find available jobs. But at the end of the day, the paying customer is the company. So it's the company that has the job that pays the recruiter. So especially in this market, it's more about you having that exact skills or experience that that fits well into that specific role that the recruiter can help you. Because if you don't have, you might have a very good, excellent skills and experience, but if they don't have that jobs, they are not going to proactively just to work for you and trying to help you find that job for you. It's more if they get the job and then they find the candidates. Whereas the other, I guess, talk about like career coaching or the career coaches, that's just different because they basically work for you, work for the job applicant. So they basically work in the best interest of you in terms of helping you define your career plan, what you wanted to do, and then help you, guide you how to accomplish that career goals. Starting from if someone doesn't have a job right now, starting from like how to best conduct your job search, improve your resume, and also during interview, like give you the interviewing tips specifically and more in depth than, let's say, a corporate recruiter would be providing you. And also someone that is already working and already on a career track, a career coach is actually more prevalent in that type of arena. A lot of senior executives have a career coach. It's almost like a professional athletes. They all have coaches, and some have more than like 2 or 3 on specific areas. It's more of keeping them on track to make sure that they perform at the optimal level to attain the highest level of corporate achievement possible. And you need someone to guide you and to push you throughout your career path. So that's I guess is the main kind of difference between a career coach and, I guess, a corporate recruiter. Yeah.
So now I realize lots of people like me, we are just doing job hunting and on the internet or from newspaper. So what kind of skills do you think we should look for, like in finding those right websites? We all know like what corporates and monsters.
Yes.
So what can we make what can we use those websites the most?
Yeah, I would say Workopolis, Monster, like obviously those are a good source to really go through. The other areas is more of using like social networks such as Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably more appropriate for like because it's more of a professional sites, and if you do expand your network, you can really see and try to target specific companies and hiring individuals. And a lot of companies actually within LinkedIn they have job posting within, let's say, Loblaws. They will have like a number of job posting that's available. So that's that would definitely be an avenue that you can kind of explore in terms of social network. And I would probably try also specific professional either and I understand you are in public relations, so maybe certain organization affiliation. Try to they do have their own website and probably some networking events or forum. Maybe try to focus specifically on that area, or even like forums itself, like a lot of unofficial type of forum that caters toward people, the professionals in the public relation areas, and just try to go through and then trying to establish a presence in the forum, and then see if there's any potential job opportunities, and to just basically display your skill set. I would say, and this falls back to even job interviews and whatnot. Instead of like asking for a job, it's more about how you can provide values to the company. So it's to show what you can do and to provide what type of accomplishment that you have done in the past to really kind of put yourself above your competitors in any job situation. Because a lot of people, I guess, in terms of the resume, they focus so much. Okay, I know Excel. I have great interpersonal skills. I have great leadership skills. I think strategically. I can do like it's good and it sounds really great, but everyone's writing the same thing. So what have you done? So basically, that's the question. Like, so it's more about like what I personally would review in a resume would be more about the accomplishment. So what type of accomplishment has this person done? For example, was able to like perform a certain task below a budgeted time frame for let's say a specific accounting type of role, or cost savings or whatnot, or even in the public relation area, be able to launch a certain campaign or whatnot that have a lot of successful rates and benchmarking performance, that sort of things. So I would look like really focus on that piece more so than just telling people that you have like great management skills.
Yeah, that's good. And I know I've done some interviews, job interviews. I found out the most difficult question I have is, what kind of weakness do you have? I think this is a very tough question. How can you say my weakness in front of the recruiter?
Well, one rule of thumb is not to say that you are you cannot prioritize and you are not detail oriented. That's kind of like the worst kind of answer. What the typical type of I guess answer could or could not be is if it's more of an entry level position, maybe certain technical skills that requires years of experience to obtain. You can talk a little bit about that. Maybe you said I don't have a certain, like let's say a certain system or that type of exposure, but I've had, and then talk immediately when you start that, talk about your accomplishment, that you have overcome some hurdles of learning a certain, like basically when you talk about your weakness, you spend like maybe 5 seconds and you spend like a minute talking about your accomplishment and strength. So you're still answering the question, but you immediately use something to show that you are able to overcome that. And And some people, they talk about management experience as something that they don't have as much, so they wish to learn. It's very typical. A lot of people use it. I've used it in the past as well. It might be depending on the role. Like if it's a manager or a senior position, obviously you're not gonna mention that. But if it's more of an entry level position, maybe. But I would probably. Yeah, I would probably just stick to things that maybe have some, I mean, like obviously you want to be honest and truthful about it. So if there's certain things that you are weak in and you know that you need to improve on, if it's not too detrimental, if it's not like basically I can't prioritize and I never deliver, even if that's true, I don't think you should mention it. But that's just me. But again, it's because those usually are the deal breakers. But if and that's the thing, because it's kind of like a fine line too, because the interview gets you the job, but you want to be honest and truthful as well, because if that role requires someone who's very detail oriented and can prioritize, and if you're not that individual, it's not innate, it's not you, even if you get the job, you kind of say things they like to hear, it's not going to last anyway. So it's probably better to find a role that is maybe more creative for you, a job that doesn't require that part as your strength. So it's more about, there's like the term that we use is that there's always a chair for everyone. So even if someone didn't do well on this job, maybe it's because they didn't find the right fit for that position. Like in terms of like they might have an intent to be in that type of role, but maybe they really don't enjoy, or maybe they really not really is a good fit for that role. So it's an ongoing process. I mean, like some people, they are lucky and was able to maybe find something they're passionate about and really good at, and they perform really well, and others for various reasons has to make various career change and that sort of things. So yeah.
So based on your experience, do you think what kind of mistakes job hunters will make during interviews or like job seeking process?
Job hunter, like the job applicant, in terms of what type of mistake?
Yeah.
There's a lot. So
I know.
Yeah. I will probably maybe start with the trying to get the interview part. So like the resume part, spelling mistake on the resume, grammatical mistake. So the point is to make sure that your resume is polished, have no grammatical mistake, no spelling mistake on each of your version that you customize. Like make sure that you don't just write it and just forget about it. Make sure you at least read it once, or maybe get someone to proofread it, because the resume represents you. And if you are someone who's very careless and doesn't have proper grammar, then it shows, and basically the chance get eliminated. And some people, they spend so much time on cover letters, which I would say in these time, and even in the normal type of job market, like I know our company, we maybe scan through it, but most cases we don't even read the cover letters.
Okay.
And the decision maker definitely would not read it.
How?
Yeah.
How come? Why don't they read it?
Cover letter is something, and it dates back to like probably at least like 40, 50 years. Like it's a old, like you have to realize, I guess in these day and age, the entire dynamic of the job market had changed drastically. Just back maybe 20 years ago, like without the internet, people just, and that was just kind of like starting the fax type of kind of age. So people was just mailing the resume. So there's still probably quite a number of them, but because of the ease of using emails, hiring managers and people that filter through, they are getting at least 5 to 10 times as much or more. I mean, more applicants than before. So that's why we're in an age where we have to be very concise and to the point. So a cover letter takes a lot of time to really kind of comb through exactly what is being said. I mean, it's great, like to really highlight it. Your past experience is perfect if someone actually will be spending the time to read it. But in most cases, in everyone's busy schedule, chances are very unlikely that they will be read.
So do you think how long a cover letter should be? Like
For any of my recommendation, I just tell them actually don't even, unless it's specifically required. There are certain companies that as a part of the application process, we need to submit a cover letter, which is very few. Then we ask them to maybe write a cover letter. But if it's not requested, I don't even require them to write it. So I would say
just to send the resume.
just send me the resume.
No attachment, just put
just the resume. That's what we present, and that's what we ask for our candidates to apply to. Like in terms of making the submissions, it's but again, this is more from dealing from a recruitment process and also with the clients. If when you apply through Workopolis or through the company's website, a lot of them do actually have that formal process of a cover letter. So yeah, do spend the time and put it in. I would say no more than maybe 3/4 of a page. Like if it's 1 page, that's probably like absolute max. If you put like a 2-pager cover letter, like it's just going to get eliminated.
So in terms of the length of resume, do you think
that is 2 to 3 pages.
2 to 3
pages. Anything more than 3 might be too much.
I think
and 1 is too little.
Senior people need 3 pages, right?
Not necessarily. Actually, senior people, like we do a corporate executive search for CFO and actually sometimes CEO, the resume is 1 page. So that's why 1-page resume would work for the most senior people.
Okay.
Because chances are, especially within that certain field, everyone knows everyone. It's just your name, which company, and a lot of some of the record and accomplishment is public record anyway. So they already know the individuals. So for senior individual, it's more of like shorten the length. But if it's a contract consultant, that's a different story. We also deal with contract consultants, and because of the nature of their work, a lot of them, they have maybe do 2 or 3 contract or 5 contract a year. So they might have like 5 companies within 1 year. Sometimes they will always have 2 versions. One is like a 2-pager, a very brief summary of what they've done, and then a long form which goes from about 10 pages. But we wouldn't read the whole thing. It's more specifically which contract that is relevant to the job. Then that's why we ask for that long form, to want that elaboration of exactly what that person did in that type of role. So. Yeah, well, I hope that answer, I guess, help, I guess, in terms of your job search and any questions that you had. Hopefully, clarify something and that you have on your mind that you've been kind of bottling up. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, Emma, and I guess everyone at TorontoTv would really appreciate you sharing your experience with us as well. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for your advice.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.